Hello everyone, and welcome to my review of my second digital audio player. The last one you might remember was the FIO X1, which I thought was really good for the price, but I wanted an upgrade, so I sold that, and now I have this. This is the Ibasso DX80, so another Chinese company. Now, the thing about the Ibasso DX80, which I was hesitant about initially, was that I heard that even though the sound quality is pretty good, the firmware was kind of lacking. But, I saw that they released a new firmware update in middle of July. So I thought, I'll just go ahead and try this, Let's see what's up. So I went ahead and bought this from Amazon. And I've been using it for about a month now. And I'm going to tell you right now what I think about it. First of all, let me put it this way. I'm going to talk about the sound first. And then I'll talk about the, features and all that later. I know most reviews like to talk about the build quality and the sound and the build quality and the unboxing first. Well, I don't have an unboxing for this because when I got this it was nighttime and I just had to open it really quickly because I'm impatient. So I'm just going to talk about the sound first, then I'll talk about everything else. My shit gunner, which guys know is usually right here, right there on my desk. I'm moving, so I've packed it up. It's been packed up for about almost a week now. So the thing about that being packed up is now I don't have really a dedicated DAC. Well, I have this now. So what that means is I can use the micro USB right here, and this can function as a computer DAC with the drivers and everything. So when you plug this in, basically there's three options it gives you. It says, do you want to charge this so you can listen to it while it's charging? Do you want this to be like connected to your computer so you can put in like songs and stuff into the micro SD cards? Or you can use this as a DAC. So DAC function, I've been using that, and honestly, I set it up. I pulled out my shit gunner again. I set everything up. I was very impressed by what I heard. So I set it up. Luckily my Cavalli audio amplifier, it has an input selector, just one button, right? So I can have a song playing on this and a song playing on my laptop at the same time. This meaning just by the internal hardware, the software is playing a song and my laptop is going through my gunner, both playing the same song. I can just press one button to hear the difference. This going through RCA into my liquid carbon and that going through balanced into my liquid carbon. So, what did I hear? Okay, the gunner, which is about $850, right? This is about 300 something. The gunner had more control in the low end, slightly more control, and it had more up top, just slightly more treble. So like I've said in my gunner review, it's kind of like a more harsh, more analytical sound. This has a more relaxed approach. This has a more sweetish kind of mellower sound because it doesn't go so harsh up top, and the low end it's not as tight in the very sub bass region, the very low sub bass region, but it doesn't matter because this, I would say, if I had to put a number on it, let's say 80 to 85% as good as the gunner is what I heard. And I'm not even kidding. I was AVing through songs like that, listening to what I did was I set up a song so it would play faster by 10 seconds on one of these two, and then I would listen to something on this first and I would listen to it on the gunner, then I'd switch back and listen to something else on this and I'd listen to it on the gunner. Just easy switchables. And I found out that this did such a great job overall that I was amazed. I thought if I have to keep my gunner in storage for a while, it won't be too much of a problem because I'll have this. Now that is, for me, I'm just saying that's huge praise for something of this form factor. This has a really nice DAC in it. I believe it's a CS4399 or 98, I'm not sure. But yeah, very nice DAC, guys. Also, if you want to compare this with the gunner, this is another little funny thing. So, with my Omni, I like to feed my Omni through things that make it sound more resolving, maybe a little brighter too. So while this sounds great with my ZMF Omni into my Cavalli liquid carbon, sounds great, sounds amazing, I prefer the HD800, this through the liquid carbon. Now, why do I prefer that? Because as you guys know, even though mine is a modified Super DuPont resonator mod, a modified HD800, it still can get quite shrill at times, and the Gungner makes it even more so. The Gungner really brings out that extra top end, the extra treble, the extra sparkle. So it really, I mean, that's basically how it should be, right? But it can get a bit fatiguing at times using the HD800. This makes the HD800 much more mellower up top. It rolls it off just a bit, and makes it much more pleasing to listen to for more genres of music, which completely took me by surprise. I would prefer this with my liquid carbon into my AC800 than my Gungner into my liquid carbon into my AC800. Omni is, the opposite, but I just found that really cool about this, just because of the sound signature. So also about the sound, the detail is still all there, especially in the mid-range. You'll get a really great amount of detail, great amount of separation. If you're listening, I'm not going to make claims about the sound stage and all that, because that sounded identical almost to me. But you have a really nice situation where you have a mellower sound, but still have very, very, very similar detail to the Gungner, which makes it, like I said before, very interesting that I'm comparing this to the Gungner, and there's such huge price differences, such huge form factor differences. That thing is about this big, right? It's like VCR sized, has 3 outputs, right? It's a 2 RCA and 1 balanced set of outputs. All this has is these 2. You've got the phone out and the line out. That's it. I'm guessing this has 1 DAC chip each because this had 2 DACs. 2X. So, very nice sound quality. Very mellow sound quality. Not the most harsh. Doesn't like to push sound out of you. It's a bit more relaxed in that sense. But there's still a very good amount of detail, especially in the mids. The low end is quite controlled. Not as controlled as the Gungner, obviously, but that, seriously compare the you're not even going to be really listening to an Omni with this, right? You don't want something that has deep sub bass control. If you're going out and about with this, you'd be listening to, like, let's say the Meze 99s, which sound amazing on this by phone out. Amazing. So while we're on the topic of the outputs, so I mean, as you guys should know, if you're watching this video, the phone out is basically for your everyday IEMs, your earbuds, your headphones, which don't really need an amplifier. And the line out is to attach this to an amplifier, like I've been attaching it to my Cavalli liquid carbon. But I also very much like this with my Runabout Plus by VE. So Venture Electronics Runabout Plus, a very powerful amp, portable amplifier. So basically, like that, and then you connect it like this, and you're set. A bit bulky, I know. Just get yourself a couple of rubber bands, hold it together in place, and then you can walk around and you can have really high fidelity, really nice sound quality just walking around like this. And yeah, battery operated amplifier too. So that's what the line out is for. Now, I've talked about the sound, I've talked about the line outs, I've talked about the separation and all that, so I guess I can talk about the interface now. And I'm going to have to start it up for that. Now, one thing to note, I've been using this as a DAC, right? Now the thing is, when using it as a DAC, it doesn't really charge if you're using it through just your standard USB output. So as you can see right now, it's at 4% battery. So if I want to charge this up quickly, I'm going to have to plug it into my USB, micro USB cable that's connected to a power outlet. That'll charge it up quite quickly. But compared to a cell phone, guys, this doesn't charge that quickly. So there's no like speed turbo charge or anything like that. This will take a while to charge, like a few hours or something. But it should last you, I think, maybe about 8 to 10 hours, which isn't bad. This has a higher capacity battery than my Samsung S6, which I'm using to record this, does by like 1,000, like 3,500 milliamp or something, Well, that's 2,500. So, as you can see here, I was listening to Alice in Chains previously. So now the interface of this, well, you have three buttons, right? You've got the play button and the play pause button. You have the back and forward button. Now the thing which I liked about the Fio was that you had a button that you can go back, like you can go back to the previous menu. You don't have that in this. So if you want to pretty much go through and let's say you want to find, like, let's say you want to find some songs, right, artists, you gotta swipe it. Now as you can see, it's not the fastest swipe in the world, but this was actually slightly improved when I updated the firmware. The first one was even slower than this. So it's smooth, but it just takes a minute and doesn't always go like that, see? So there you go. So now you have all music, artist, genre, album, playlist, directory, and now playing. So let's go to artist. So now I have all these artists showing up, right? Once again, it's not the smoothest scroll. Like if I could just keep it running like that, it'll suddenly stop. It won't gradually stop. And it's not very consistent in the scrolling. Especially if you have a lot of artists and songs. Because let me put it this way. I have two micro SD cards in here. One is 200 gigabytes, one is 128 gigabytes. Yes, you can run really high capacity micro SD cards in here, two of them. So you can walk around with your entire FLAC library in your pocket, which I find amazing. But if you're going to go through all that, you need to understand that you're going to be scrolling quite a bit. Now, let's look at, let's say, Smashing Pumpkins, right? Oh, wait, actually, no. Let's look at, who is an artist I have, whom I have a lot of songs by. Okay, let's say Roger Waters. Now I have these albums by Roger Waters, right? There are 4 of them. Now, there's no option. This is my biggest gripe with this thing. My biggest gripe with the DX80 is that there is no option for all songs by an artist. So if I wanted to have like a long playlist of all the songs by Roger Waters, there's no option for that. I'm used to that option. I saw that option in the old iPods. I saw that option in the X1. I saw that option. I see it on my cell phone. Why is it not in this, Ibasso? I think you guys really should do something about that. Well, if you're not in this, at least in the DX200, which is coming soon. Because this is quite annoying. I mean, it promotes album listening, but at the same time, imagine if you have, like, in my example, Phil Collins, right? Some of his songs are my favorite ever, but most of his songs I just really don't like. So I'll have like an album which I'll have one song from, and then I'll have another album which I'll have another 1 or 2 songs from, and so on. If I want to listen to a playlist with them all, I can't just go to all of Phil Collins' songs. I have to make a custom playlist for them, which for a lazy guy like me is a lot of work. So yeah, I'm used to death. I have to go through all the songs right now, and I can't go through all the artists' music. So that's one of my pet peeves with this. Directory. So as you can see, it lets you choose which SD card you want to look into. Nice bit of arrangement. So yeah, you can just, like, I have a Eurodance folder, 90s Eurodance. Open it up, and I'll have all this stuff right here. Now this is useful because if I have it all in one folder, that means I can go through different artists just easily, like using the next button. I don't have to make a custom playlist. But, you know, like I said earlier, you'll have to, there's no all music option. There is an all music option for the front page, this one. You click that, and now you can go through all the songs. And this is the default background. It's like a creepy woods thing with fog. If you don't have any if you don't have like the album art, that's what's going to show up. So they like their black and white and gray design. I'm a fan of black and white and gray, so I don't mind. But if you guys want more color, then I'm sorry, I guess. So yeah, all the music, all my hundreds of gigabytes of music is showing up right now. So let me just put this on pause, or I'm going to run out of battery like in 2 seconds. Because I started at 4, right? And now I'm at 2. And I have my brightness on full, so that's probably why. and I've been constantly using it. So all music, artist, genre, album, playlist, you can make your own little play. I haven't made one myself. Like I said, I'm very lazy. But you can if you want to. So this covers the music side. Now if you want to go back to the other side, you have to scroll like I just did. If you open up the top panel, you'll have the charge only, you'll have the DAC, and you'll have the reader options. You'll have a linear play, repeat, shuffle, and repeat one song. Gapless playback, gain, which I have on high, digital filter. Digital filter, it recommends it to be on sharp, but I haven't really heard a difference. But I have to look more into that later. But I don't really think there's much of a difference, just audio-wise. And this is the settings. To get to this, let's to be absolutely clear. You start off on this page. This is the playing, now playing. For the left, my music. There's only one scroll. There's only one scroll in each direction. Go on top, you get that. Alright. And if you want to go to settings, one scroll to the right. Now you have the equalizer. And you can set your own equalizer. I don't have any set up right now, but you can have your own. But you can also have rock, dance, classical, pop, and bass. And you can have this music info, which has the exact, pretty like all the stats for the song I'm listening to. In that black and white whole thing. Left right balance in case you have IEMs that aren't quite matched. Alright. You've got advanced settings, you have languages. With English obviously, but you have quite a few here. Display, which I have on full. Okay, you have like, you see this metallic background? That's the default it comes with. You can also have it like this, or you can have it plain like that. I'll just have it plain black. Power management, backlight off, auto power off, sleep timer. I should probably look into those. Rescan library, yes, you'll have to do this every time you put more songs on your SD card. You'll have to rescan your library, but you can break it up. You can rescan the first SD card or the second, depending on where you put your songs, or if you just have time, you can just do both. For some reason, this rescans faster than my X1 did, which is quite interesting. System info. So yeah, it just tells you exactly how much you have left. I have 40 gigs left on one SD card and 3.84 on the other one. So, and factory reset and power management, languages. Okay, seen all that. That's the advanced menu. So you have gapless playback. Now this is interesting because this is the same setting as what you can get if you scroll it down once. So it's quite interesting that they have it here as well. And music info, USB settings, which is also on that top down scroll menu. I'm not sure why they have it in two places, but this is more official looking, I guess. That's just, the other one is more like a toggle. Play mode, also on that top toggle menu. So some stuff is being, this is all being repeated pretty much. So that's the interface, guys. And just in time because it looks like it's about to die. So great sound quality, kind of iffy on the firmware still. Really don't like that I can't select all songs by an artist. I find that to be quite problematic. I do like the tactic feel of this. I find that to be quite useful. I prefer that to how the feel was. We have to like scroll it and all that. And this does come with this, which I've been using. See? It's given up on me. It's like, see ya. You've done your internal thing. Now get out of here. So you have this, which it comes with. A rubber casing. There's also a leather casing option, but you have to pay like an extra $50 for that or something. So that's really up to you if you want that. So you have rubber casing. It comes with 2 screen protectors. So keep that in mind. Alright. Not going to open this up anymore. You guys have seen the interface. I've talked about the sound. Let's talk about some pairings now. In my trademark in-depth long reviews, it's already going up to 20 minutes. I'm going to talk about pairings now. This is the VE Zen. This is a 320 ohm earbud. But it sounds pretty decent out of the phone out. And by pretty decent, I would say maybe about 70% of the way of the potential of the VE Zen. 70% of the way you can get from using the phone out. and you just put it up a little bit, maybe about 20-30 steps higher with this volume knob right here. You can't adjust your volume using this, like the touchscreen. You have to adjust it through this to tactile feeling things. There's a power button. So you can get it up to maybe 70%. I really wouldn't do that. I mean, if you want to enjoy something like this, you really need to use, in my opinion, an amplifier. In this case, I run it through this again. So I have it connected to that using this, and then the VEZen connected to this. With this much volume, it should give you all the volume you need, unless you listen to it absurdly loudly. So a good pairing, but you still need an amplifier. Now the Asura by VEZen, by Venture Electronics, that's 150 ohms, but that is powered just fine by this, the phone out, just fine. I don't need an amplifier for that. If you insist on an amplifier, you can, but I think you'll have only very minimal, minute differences. Now here is the balanced VE Monk, Darth Monk edition. I really like that with this. The phone out on this, the matching colors and all that, great. I find this to be a very pleasing, very articulate sound, because like I said, this has really great separation, really great sense of space in the mix, and that goes very well with how these are designed to be, like these open kind of like earbuds with Voss soundstage. I find this to be a really nice pairing. I also found a very nice pairing in my Shozy Zero. So my Shozy Zero is a mid-bassy kind of IEM. Now when I use this with my phone, I find it to be too mid-bassy. I find it to be it's too little too overwhelming in the mid-bass. I don't think I had it when I had my X1, so I can't remember what it was like with that. Or maybe I'm getting that wrong. But with this, it sounds more articulate. But once again, the DAC in this is doing work. I know that's a bit of a controversial statement for some people, that the DAC can, change the sound and all that. But yes, in my opinion, this does. This will handedly beat your cell phone's DAC. Unless maybe your cell phone is like the LG V10 or something with a ridiculously good DAC, which I haven't heard, so I can't compare. But my Samsung Galaxy S6 DAC is handedly beaten by this. So another very nice pairing. I can throw anything I wanted with this, and it just sounds really nice. If you need to be driven, you can plug it into your amplifier. Sounds very nice. So now, at long last, I will talk about the packaging a bit. First of all, it comes wrapped in this, right? This, in my opinion, as sleek as it looks with this whole brushed look, it's kind of hard to read. This backside, what's written in the back is quite hard to read. Like, I haven't really touched this once I took it off, I haven't touched it. I haven't like been smearing or anything like that, but that's how hard it is to read. Weird. But it looks cool. It's that whole Matrix kind of look. Oh, by the way, I really like their logo. I think this is a very nice, minimalistic, really cool logo. Just my opinion. Oh, and the font they use, also pretty cool. So, you get this, right? So they're having this whole triangle scheme. And you get the actual box, which also opens up in this whole triangle scheme. So you'll have a bunch of different manuals. You'll have the serial number. You'll have some minimal instructions. Nothing too crazy. Tells you stuff in Mandarin and in, well, I hope that's Mandarin. It could be Cantonese. Mandarin and English. Once again, silver on black background. Looks kind of sleek, but it's not very easily readable. This is much better than the casing I showed you before, right? The fonts before. This is much better than that. Quick start guide. I don't really think you'll need this because it's pretty straightforward, guys. Like, honestly. Unless this is your first digital audio player, then you will. Otherwise, it's pretty straightforward. This is the USB cable that comes with it. I haven't opened it. I've been using the USB cable that my phone came with. So, don't really need a use for this. Another cable it comes with. Now this thing, this thing is interesting. This is a burn-in cable. Ibasso says you should burn this in for like 100 hours to get the DAC to sound like it should. I have no comment on that. No comment on that. I have heard Burnin make some changes to mechanical things, like more like drivers. Like when I got my HE400i, the drivers, they kind of sounded really muddy coming straight from the box, because they had just come, because my flatmate had brought them for me from Beijing. They had come in a very cold cargo hold and all that. I think they took some time to warm up, but it was done within a few hours. I just put them to a side and I went back and they sounded great. Burning in an electronic device with no movable parts, I don't know, guys, that sounds a little to me. But if you want to, it's here. You just plug this in. It'll simulate a headphone being played, so you can leave it running. You can have it on charge too, so it doesn't run out. I've burned mine in for 100 hours. I didn't hear a difference. But your results may vary. Your mileage may vary. But you do get this in case you want to burn it in without having some loud, blaring headphone in the corner of your room, which you can hear all the way from your other side of the room. This is quiet, no sound produced. Sound goes here to die, but the job is done in the burn-in and all that. And yeah, that's it. You get this, I guess this is where it was, and that's it. That's all the I like the packaging. I must admit, I do really like the packaging, and the overall design of Ibasso, the whole sleek look. Like I like how this looks. Like it's really a bit sharp around the edges, but you're supposed to have this on anyway, so that doesn't really matter. So, would I recommend this? Yes. I've already recommended it to a friend of mine, and he got his yesterday. I do recommend this to you guys. But if you want to spend on more, if you want, for an example, you want a Saber DAC, because this has an CIRRUS Logic, whatever, the CS DAC, right? 4398 or whatever. If you want like a Saber DAC, you want a higher end DAC and all that, you might want to wait for the DX200, which keeps getting delayed. I'm not sure, because I was actually originally waiting for that. Then I realized, well, when this comes out, it's gonna be like it's gonna be like $700 maybe to compete with the X7, maybe $600. I don't want to spend that much on a DAC. I don't have that much to spend right now. So I got this, and for about 280 something pounds, which is still more than it costs in America, but you know, that's how Britain is. So that's been my review. I'm just going to put this back in. A bit lengthy, but I hope it gave you enough information if you want to consider this DAC. And yeah, really nice, really comfortable feeling. And it covers all the buttons, screen protector, all that. So yeah, if you want something harder than this, I don't know if you can get a harder case than this, but if you want that, go for that instead. So that has been my review of the Ibasso DX80. Thank you. This might be my last review that I do before I move, so you guys can say goodbye to this table in that case. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.